Well, you can't use his pen. That's a special pen. Is it working okay?
Oh, Beth, you moved me.
I did.
It's live. I don't know.
Here's what I'm saying. I know. I spread
Take my
out.
name tag and
Hey, Dave.
Good, how are you?
Yeah. Did you really?
Oh, good. Yeah. Uh-oh.
hockey. Beth kicked me out.
Wow.
With my drink.
Must be my non-organic.
Do you have any words of wisdom today,
No.
Marge? You got any words of wisdom?
No, I'm trying to find my drink. Did I leave
I
it
brought
on?
mine.
I brought a Pepsi. It was in a cup.
Okay.
You were derelict in your duties. Derelict in your duties. You come last night and put away your trophy. Yeah.
What did I say?
If the answer was no, would you vote no? We can work on whatever.
That plays into incorporating.
Looks like
Well, I might just mention that. I won't ask.
Okay,
The way you rewrote it's good.
all right, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. It's 2:00. If we could have everybody sit down and we'll get started. Okay, so for the roll call, Beth, could you take roll call for us, please?
Yes, Kathy Batchelor,
Here?
Candy English,
Here.
Beth Dingman, here. Nellie Johnson, here. Bart Hillier,
Here.
Steve Reynolds,
Here.
Dave Barker,
Here.
Marge Garneau was here.
She stepped out, I think, for a minute. She'll be right back.
Bev Lawless, Lanny Smith,
Here.
Jody Walker, Scott Summers.
Here.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We have a quorum. So for the second item on the agenda, is there anyone that wants to make an amendment to the agenda or a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor of approving the agenda as it is, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, there's Bev. Okay, good.
Nancy Bev Lawless just came in. Okay, we have a presentation at this point for the GVR Foundation to make a presentation of grant funds to GVR for the MAP program. So if we could have the presenters come up to the podium and wanted to do a picture taking event.
Yeah, I'll get a few pictures while we're here handing over checks.
Okay, do you want to get up there?
I will. Do you want to join me? And
Sure.
maybe you can accept the checks.
I would love to.
All right.
It's right here. Somebody had it.
On behalf of the GVR Foundation, we are pleased to present this check for $30,000 towards MAP that covers the $25,000 from the grant request plus a bonus of an extra $5,000 thanks to the success of our bingo program. Thank you.
I would just like to say with regards to this, a great big thank you to the GVR Foundation. Not only do they have a wonderful bingo program where the funds are directly for the MAP program, they have been wonderful to work with. We have an ad hoc committee that is working with them at this point, and we have developed a small steering committee where we're going to have a big fundraising event throughout this year, and hopefully we'll be able to make the program even larger than what it is. So a big thank you to the foundation. Thank you all very much for everything you do. Okay, so President's Report. I don't have anything particular except to thank everybody that came to the meeting today. We're getting towards the end of the year, so it's nice to see people coming to the meeting. And with that, I'm going to send it over to Scott for the CEO report.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair. A couple items. The long-anticipated West Center Lapidary Club expansion project is going to kick off very soon. There's a pre-construction meeting scheduled for March 3rd, and we expect construction to start somewhere towards the end of March. It'll start with some demo and then go from there. And this should wrap up hopefully by next winter, probably late next winter. Bids for the West Center membership services expansion are due March 20th. That RFP is out, and we are waiting to see what those bids come in at. The Abrego South pool design and locker room design, concept design, continues to move forward. We are tentatively scheduled to bring that discussion and a decision back to this board on March 18th. This would be approval of a concept, review the cost estimates, and then review the soil engineer report. That's what we're anticipating. If and when the board approves the concept drawing at that meeting, the architect would then move into developing 100% architectural construction documents, and we would be able to then go out for permitting and bidding, and possibly coming back to the board in about August to ask the board to award a contract at that time. So there's a lot of ifs in there and a couple hurdles before anything moves forward. I just want to make sure that that's clear. The pickleball fencing, this was kind of an exciting project. We've been waiting a long time to get some fencing around the pickleball center, but the bids for that project are due today. No, not today, the 27th, which is exciting. It'd be nice to get that done. This summer, we're going to start on the Los Campanas Fitness Room expansion as well as the Santa Rita Fitness Center expansion. The Santa Rita one will be smaller because we really only have that corner office to work with, but that will add some square footage to the fitness center. And so that is my report and update. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you.
I'm not seeing anybody raise their hand, so must be good, Scott. With the committee reports next, the audit committee, Bev Lawless.
We have a meeting to review the audit March 23rd.
Okay,
That's it.
great, thank you. Board Affairs, Candy English.
Hi, good afternoon. Board Affairs did not meet in February. However, we will be meeting again in March, on Tuesday, March 10th at 1:30 p.m. in room 2 over there. And at that time, we're going to be working on our end-of-year work plan and what it is that we've accomplished and what we're planning for next year. And we do have the open, transparent meeting, so you're certainly invited to come. If you can't, then it's okay for you to view it on our website the next day and see what we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Candy. Investment Committee, Lanny Smith.
Nothing to report, Madam Chair. We held our last meeting in February, January.
Thank you. Nominations and elections, Beth Dingman.
The NNE committee met on February 12th to finalize format and questions for the 2 forums. The first on March 4th at 5 p.m. in Canoa Hills, and the second on March 11th at 5 p.m. right here in the West Center. Voting begins March 9th and ends on March 20th. I also wanted to let people know that the candidates who are here today will be available to talk to after our meeting if you wish to. Maybe they should raise their hands and identify themselves. Okay, so they'll be available after the meeting for you to talk to. Also, I want to announce that the candidate interviews are currently posted on the website, and you can check them out there, the interviews with Regina. At our February 12th meeting, we also talked about staffing the committee table at the upcoming showcase, which is on March 2nd. And our next meeting is, Nancy? Sorry, we just kept moving it and going back, huh? March 12th. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I skipped over fiscal affairs, and I apologize, Nellie. Nellie Johnson will give a report on fiscal affairs.
Thank you. We met third Tuesday of this month. We spent considerable time reviewing the updated reserve fund for the facilities, which is called the MR&RA fund. And that has been updated by Browning and posted on the website. We also spent time looking at the MR&RB, which is the pools and spas fund, and looking at the model assumptions. And that report is posted, as you remember, it is done by internal staff. And that is posted along with the consultant's report that was available. As the Abrego information comes in, we meet in March, on March 17th. So we'll be looking at how the numbers fit into the overall pool reserve. And we'll also are starting to look at, from an educational standpoint, a review of our information systems, because we do anticipate that staff, and they're currently looking at replacing 2 major systems going into the next budget cycle. And so we will just gain information on the information systems as we prepare for the budget cycle starting in August.
Thank you, Nellie. Planning and evaluation, Steve Reynolds, we have a note here that says that the committee has completed its work and no report is needed at this point. So just to make a comment for Steve on that.
Thank you.
Next item is the consent agenda, and that would be for items that are routine to be approved or not approved, either way you look at it. For the minutes, for the regular board meeting for January 28th of 2026, the Board of Directors work session minutes from February 18th, 2026, and the financial statements from January of this year. And also for the business item of the FAC recommendation to approve the Browning Reserve Group complete an off-site review for 2026. And that was an item that Nellie pointed out to us that was just an action item that the board needed to take approval of to appoint them for this year. So all of those are routine consent agenda items. So do I have a motion to approve those?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. And a second, Candy? Okay, thank you for, I'm sorry, everyone need to take a vote. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please raise your hand. Okay, so it's unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Action items. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the 2026 annual work plan, which we discussed at our work session last week, I believe it was. You want to take that, Scott?
Sure, it's fairly self-explanatory. You did have a work session on this last week. There were a few changes. Those changes have been implemented into the annual work plan that's in your packet. I can pull it up on the screen if you'd like, or if we need to make some last-minute adjustments, we can certainly do that. This, as a reminder, is a support document for the 5-year strategic plan. This annual work plan, once we get each one of these items checked off, it supports a higher level goal or initiative or objective, and ultimately the mission and the vision of the organization. This has been, I think, a real robust 5-year plan, because we have had working documents through this annual report, and it has kept things moving forward. And it's part of my performance evaluation at the end of the year. You all get to look at it, and we get to see how successful we were and I was in moving things forward. So this is the last year of the 5-year plan. The board, at some point within the next month or two, will be asked to award a contract for a consultant to help the board develop the next 5-year plan, which would start January 1, 2027. We're still wrapping up this year, though, so we've got one more year of this year. So here's the plan that we've presented. We've certainly talked it over quite a bit, and again, if there are last-minute adjustments or changes, we are prepared to make those right now. Thank you.
Excuse me, are there any comments from the board members with regard to this item? Would somebody like to make a motion to approve it?
I move to approve the proposed 2026 annual work plan.
Thank you. Second? Candy? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Bart, I don't see your hand. Never mind. So we have 10 people approving and all those opposed? And one person opposed, and that would be Bart Hillier. Thank you, everybody. So we're going to move on to item B, which would be approval of the BAC recommendation for the CPM changes to 1.2.1, point A, point 5, point B. And Candy is the chair of that committee, so she is going to start the discussion on this.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, President Person. Basically, what I'm going to do is go ahead and give you a little bit of a background of the corporate policy manual complementary guest policy and how it relates to how we want to change it and make it equitable along with the regular annual guest pass. Earlier this year, the BAC, which is the Board Affairs Committee, was given the charge to look at the annual guest pass, as that seemed to be the area in which there was the most misuse. So in working on that, and also with your input, we came up with that the annual guest pass could be valid for 30 days, plus an additional 30 days without having to renew it. It could automatically renew if you wanted that. So when we looked at the annual guest pass, we went back to look at the complimentary guest pass policy, and it was not equitable because the complimentary guest pass policy only allowed for 30 days, not the additional 30 days, which would make it 60 days. So if the annual guest pass was now for 60 days, we feel like that the complimentary guest pass should also be eligible for 60 days. So if we look at the corporate policy manual, which you might have on page 19, and we look at section 1.2.1 A5B. And I'm going to read it because this is what the committee recommends that we change it to this language. The complimentary guest ID, a single-only annual guest card, shall be issued to the sole owner GVR members for one guest for 30 days within the year and allow an extension for 30 days more for a total of 60 days, for no fee where there is no other person residing with the GVR member. So we figure this policy change is going to make things equitable between the complimentary guest card ID and the annual pass that the two-party homeowners have. We want it to make it equitable with the one-person homeowner policy. So, open to discussion.
I'm going to make a motion at this point for this item to recommend that we maintain the existing complimentary guest ID statement that is here, and that would be to delete what is in red on page 19 so that it would remain the same as what it has been. And I have reasons for doing that, but I guess I need a second in order to discuss it from that point.
A second.
Thank you, Bev. Okay. This has been talked about along with the annual guest pass for a year. And last month, 2 months ago, the board approved a new guest pass policy, and then last month we had we even did a survey that just short of 2,100 people responded to regarding guest pass policy. And then last month we had a large contingency come to the board meeting and say, no, we don't like this annual guest pass that you've already voted on. We want you to change back from the one person per pass, where we really went forward and we talked about it for the whole year, where we had to have a guest pass for each person that is on our properties. And what this group that came to us last month said, no, we want to stay with the four guests per pass, per annual guest pass. And after a very large discussion, the majority of this board agreed with that. I believe the vote was 10-1. So they went back to approving 4 guests for an annual guest pass. And so we're in the same position we were before. And we still, our staff is still really not going to be able to enforce it, which is one of the things that we got for comments from people who took the survey. Many of their comments were, we want you to enforce, we don't care if you keep what you have, but we want you to enforce it. And so now, from what I can see, we are back to what we had. We now have four people that can come in on one guest pass, going to make it extremely difficult for our staff, any of our staff, to be able to enforce that. Because we did have some people, and I'm just going to use this one person as an example. I'm making a presentation, Nancy, so I think I get 10 minutes on this. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, let me just finish. I want to wrap this up because 3 years ago, the singles worked, I'm not sorry, 3 years ago, 8 years ago when I came, we worked for 3 years to get the pass, to get the complimentary guest pass for singles. And what it did was that it made it equal where single households could have 2 cards because a married household was getting 2 cards. It made it equal between married people and single people. And the reason I'm asking for this to stay exactly the way that it is because that takes away the equality of a single person having a guest pass as opposed to a married couple. Beth.
So as a single person, you get an additional complimentary cardholder ID, right?
Right.
Okay. So and then you are, as the owner and the person who lives in that house, you get a complimentary guest pass, right? In addition, you can buy a complimentary guest pass just like the rest of us, or not?
Sure. Well,
Okay,
no, not
so
a
you can-
complimentary, not a complimentary. You would have to pay for another guest
That's what I'm
pass.
saying. You have to pay for one. So you get this one free.
Right.
And then you get this other one, and then you can go and then use your pass to buy a guest pass for people who come, for 4 people who come to your house and stay, right?
I could buy
So
I could buy an annual
you've
guest
got-
pass.
Right, you could buy an annual guest pass,
Which,
and you've, off of your regular pass, you can buy an annual guest pass, just like everybody else, for 4 people, and you've still got this other pass sitting here, right? This complimentary card holder.
right.
So who is going to take advantage? There's not I don't understand why it's unfair, because you can still have the guests just the way everybody can have guests. The single person can still have 4 guests on a complimentary guest pass that they buy.
Oh, that they buy, yes.
And you also have the complimentary ID, which I assume if you had 1 guest, you could give it to them for whatever. Right now, we're saying 30 days. Right now, it's you can do it forever. But the problem with what you're suggesting, it seems to me, is again, people who are single, who have that complimentary one, giving it to someone else, who then just uses it for the year, and again, there's no ability to enforce it.
Again, this guest pass that I get and I am the only person on this board that is a single sole owner, property owner member. The guest pass states valid for 1 guest per visit. So I got this card when I came 11 years ago. I have used it 3 times over 11 years, so I'm not one of the abusers. But there are abusers, I will say that. I will agree to that. However, there are abusers in the annual guest pass as well that are normally used by a couple, but not necessarily by a couple. It could be, I could go, if I had 4 people coming to my house, I could use this for 1.
Right.
And then I could buy an annual guest pass that would cover the next 3.
Right.
So I'm not sure why you say there's no difference.
Because there's that.
This is only good for 1 person.
That's good for 1 person.
Right. And that made me equal to a couple who received 2 cards for their house where I was paying the same dollar amount for 1 card.
I know,
That's
but
what
there
we
is no
did.
other person.
Pardon?
I said there is no other person to use that pass besides you, and if there is another person, it's somebody that you're giving it to use outside of the other, and outside of,
Right.
you know,
But
and
if
for
you
a
look
whole
at-
year without any regulation.
But if you look at the rules in the CPM, a guest is a person who lives 20 miles outside the borders of GVR. It is not for someone who lives within the borders of GVR. It never has been. Beth?
I'm going to make a slight correction. I also am a single homeowner. There is another person living in the house, and he has a complimentary cardholder ID or whatever they call it. I don't believe that we need to provide complimentary guest cards. They need to pay for them. Somebody needs to pay for them, the guest or the homeowner. It's not, and it doesn't matter if you're a single household or a dual household, whether guests need to pay for guest cards. We don't need to provide free cards for guests, whether it's 30 days or 60 days.
I'm not saying two guest cards for anybody.
Right.
What I'm saying is it should remain the same as what was approved January 1st of 2020. In that, every household then was entitled to 2 cards per home.
Right.
So if you were a single guest, if you were a single homeowner and nobody was living with you, you chose the complimentary guest pass so that when you had people come to visit you, you could use that card for 1 person per visit. So if you had 2 people visiting you, you had to go out and buy another card. However, the other choice that a single household has and still has is if you are living with someone, then that person you can choose to have that person have a complimentary additional card for that property. So if you're living together, you still get 2 cards for a couple, but the single person still only has 1 card except for this policy and the CPM. What I want to see happen is for us to keep this policy where we have 1 card for a guest. And I understand that there are some people who are abusing that and are handing it out, let's say, to somebody that lives in a non-GVR house. And that is against the rules. A guest is a person who is visiting you from 20 miles outside our boundaries. You cannot give this card to someone who's renting your property because then they have to have a tenant card. They are renters. They cannot join a club. A guest cannot join a club as for member purposes. But a tenant can. If a tenant is renting your property and they're renting with the idea of being here for 3 months and they want to use the facilities, then if they have a tenant card, they can join a club for that 3-month period if they so choose. Otherwise, they get to use all of the facilities as a tenant. If you are a single household owner, you have a complimentary guest card for your guest. I have a guest staying with me this week. She is from California. She's here for 3 days. We haven't even gone to anything that she needed to use this guest card for, and we probably won't. But the fact of the matter is that I have it if I need it. That person is coming from 20 miles outside the boundaries, which is what the rules are for CPM. Just 1 second, Marge. I'll let you speak in just a second. What we are dealing with, and Scott has been very good this last month, he's been providing us with the people that they are picking cards up from that are abusing the use of it, not only for a complimentary guest card, but also for annual guest card. And it is not just single people who are doing that. So they are telling their renters, here, you can use my complimentary guest card, and you cannot. This says 1 person per visit. So if you're renting your house to a couple, only 1 person could use it if they were from outside, but they cannot join any club. They cannot 2 people cannot go in on 1 card. Those are the rules. Marge, go ahead.
Oh, good, my arm was getting sore. Thank you. I have a question because this is very confusing. At one time, we had, if I bought a house and I had a partner or a mate, I got 2 cards.
Yes.
Then we changed it that said, if I bought a house and I had no partner, I had 1 card. I mean, that was the original. Then we changed it that said, if I bought a house and I was single, I got a complimentary 2nd card, right?
Right.
So, but it doesn't say anywhere that if I have a partner who moves in with me, well, I don't have a
Yes.
partner, I have a guest. My daughter came to visit and she's staying with me for a year. It doesn't say here, point 1 is, it doesn't say here that she can't use it for a year because it's my extra card, right?
Correct.
It scares me when Scott's not nodding. If I have 30 days, how are you going to enforce it? I mean, you can make all these rules that you want, but you can't enforce them. I mean, Scott, do we have somebody that goes out and bops everybody over the head and says, you're only one person, and if you have a second person on this card, I'm going to take it away?
If
You know
we
what I mean?
find out that they're using them against the policy, then we do take the card away.
But the policy right now is that a complimentary guest card that Kathy has, a single only annual guest card is issued to Kathy. She gets that because I get one for my husband. If I divorce my husband, oh, please don't tell him I said that. If I divorce my husband and I'm the only person in that house, then I will get a single card. And that's to put equal to his. This change makes it unequal to his, because he can use his every day. Bev, your partner can use it every day, right?
Yes, he can, and it's also, if I'm not mistaken, not a guest card. It's a complimentary cardholder ID, which is totally different.
Well, it's not totally different. When we put it,
But it doesn't say
when the
guest card
board
on the card.
adopted it in January of 2020, a single person had a choice between those 2 items, and that's what the CPM says right now. The first one is called a complimentary cardholder ID, and that is issued to a person who is residing with the sole owner membership, and they have to show a proof of residency if they are living together. And it doesn't have to be a significant other. It could be somebody, a family member. It could even be a caregiver that is living with somebody 24/7. But so you have a choice to either that one or a complimentary guest card, where a single only annual guest card shall be issued to a sole owner GVR member for no fee where there is no other person residing with them. So you have a choice. You're either living with somebody, they can say that I'm paying the utility bill, and so you get 2 cards for that property, and that's what you're getting. I'm getting my card plus a complimentary guest card. It is good for 365 days. That's what made us single people equal to married people, because the married people were getting 2 cards for a house that a single person was only getting 1 card for the same price. That was a big issue back when we were fighting for it when it took effect in 2020. It is still in effect right now. I would like to see it continue the way it is, because that is what makes us equal to, whether it's a combination of significant others or a married couple. Candy.
Maybe I did not explain this well enough. So I would like CEO Mr. Summers to hop in and explain the difference between these 2, and then have Chris Subicki talk about, how difficult is it to figure out if they're using it 30 days or 60 days.
All right. Now, what are we comparing? The complimentary card versus the complimentary guest card, or the complimentary guest and the annual guest?
Let's start from the beginning.
Okay, well, the annual guest card has been recently amended to allow up to 4 people on a guest card, and that guest card is good for 60 days. Not 60 swipes, but 60 days. That's into effect, that went into effect as soon as the board approved it. The complimentary guest card has been open-ended like the annual guest pass used to be. Remember, the annual guest pass used to be open-ended. There were no limitations. And through our research, we were able to see that both the annual guest card and the complimentary guest card were the primary violations that were occurring in terms of improperly using your card. And again, because it's very easy, the card isn't assigned to anybody and it's open-ended. It can be used as many times in 1 year as possible. We did see some annual guest cards that were over 500 swipes in 1 year. I don't remember what we saw for complimentary guest cards, but when we did do the research, we saw that only a small percentage were over, and I can't remember if it was 30 days or 60 days, but it wasn't significant. Most people that receive and are entitled to a complimentary guest card are within the 60-day limit. And I think, again, most are even within the 30-day limit. What Bev Lawless has is a complimentary card holder. So this is somebody that lives in the house, and they can prove they live in the house because of their tax statement, bank statement, utility bill, whatever that might be. And GVR will issue them, if they're not on title, a complimentary card.
But wait a minute, you said a complimentary, but it says for a fee. So does Bev's partner pay a fee for the card?
No,
So
that's free.
then it's not under the additional card holder.
There's a separate thing. There's the complimentary card, and that goes to a single person who has somebody living in the home.
I'm reading that, yeah.
Additional card is somebody that just happens to be living there. It could be a child, it could be a friend.
But it says for a fee.
I
That's
think
an
that's
additional
Yeah,
card
I think that's
holder.
separate. We're talking
It's separate.
an additional
wait.
card holder versus a complimentary card holder.
So what Kathy has is just her, and she has a complimentary guest card that can be used whenever. Bev has a complimentary partner. Don't tell him I said that. He's a card holder, which is under C, that says additional card holder for a fee established by the board. Is there a different?
That's
what?
not correct.
No.
No, he's not A because he's not on the deed. He's not, is he A or is he C? And if he's A, why do we have C? Who
He's
said A?
A.
But you have to look at the right thing, Marge,
Are
because.
you saying
the-
I'm not looking at the right
I'm
thing?
looking at the CPM on page 5.
I know, we do have an expert here that could clear this up very easily.
Oh,
She's the
that's too
Director of Member
easy.
Services, and she could clarify the difference between additional card holder and a complimentary card holder and a complimentary guest pass.
Yes. Hi, guys. So the difference, the complimentary cards are only available to single-member owners.
Right.
So in Kathy's case, and in Bev's case, if you're a single owner, to make them whole, as that was described in 2020, or equal to the regular memberships, there was a complimentary card. It can be either a guest card, or if there's someone residing in the house with them, it would be a complimentary card holder. So the guest would be, you can use it, as long as you meet the eligibility requirements as a guest. But if there's someone residing in the home, then the card would have my name and picture on it. So if, for the additional card holder, that's if there were already 2-3 people in the house and they want to add another person, that's where the additional card holder comes into play. So the complimentary is only for single owners, single title owners.
And it's unlimited use? I mean, for the whole year like the other one?
It was.
1 use.
It was for one, it was good, the complimentary guest was good for one, is good for one person. Up until we made the revisions, it was good all year long, because it does say in here, it is a annual guest pass. It's an annual guest card. So when we revised the process, it was revised to the 60 days.
Doesn't have anybody living in, right, Kathy?
Yeah, well, if you
Correct.
could speak into the, so everybody can hear, Marge, what your
I
question
can't
is.
speak into this and watch her.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so Kathy has no one living with her.
Right.
That she'll tell us about.
Correct.
And so you don't get a second card that Bev gets for having a partner living with her.
I do
Uh-oh,
get a
Scott's
second
gonna
card.
stick something under my
I do get a
nose.
second card. It is a complimentary guest card.
Why is yours a complimentary guest card rather than just a complimentary
Because
second
it
card?
is good for one person to use one per visit, one person per visit. What Bev has got is 365 days where her partner can use that card every single day. But in effect, this should be the same thing. If I have a guest, for example, if I have a friend who calls me up and says, I'd like to come out and stay with you for 6 months to see if I want to buy a house in Green Valley. Can I do that? Can I stay with you and would I have access to GVR? Yes, you would.
No,
Unless we change this.
no, right,
Unless you
technically, they're
change
not,
this.
a
If you change this, then no, she can't do
Well,
that.
let me ask
yeah,
back.
that, technically, no, they wouldn't be
Chris?
allowed to, because that's not a temporary guest.
But what you're saying is, if I'm single and I move in, somebody hit me over the head, please. If I'm single and I buy a house, then I'm entitled to a second card,
Correct,
period.
correct.
And if I have a partner who moves in, they can use the second card and have their picture put on and be like me.
Yes, you would get one or the other, yes. The complimentary
Why
card.
do we have a guest card? I mean, I don't understand why we're doing this. I mean, I'm confused on why do we have to have a guest? Nancy's gonna throw something at me real soon. Why do we have to have a guest card and not just have a card available? I mean, why does Kathy not get the same card Bev gets and either chooses to have a partner or not?
Essentially, that's what it is. It's a different card, because if there's no one to assign it to, associate it with, then it's a guest pass. So she can use it on her friend Betty, she can use it for her sister June, I don't know if you have a sister. She can. It's open to whomever.
Guest card is the same as Bev's. Can you guys hear me? Because I'm talking to her. It's the same as Bev's card for her other person.
No, because because sorry,
Wait, you just
Bev's,
said it was the same.
well, it's the same type of card, it's a complimentary card. Bev's, because her spouse provided proof of residency, he gets the complimentary card holder. Because Kathy doesn't have anyone living with her, there's no person to associate with it, and there's no proof of residency that's been provided, so it's considered a guest card. So she can use it for any guest that comes in.
And so right now, she can use it 365 days a year. If I have a guest that comes and stays for a year, they can use that card.
No, because that's not a temporary guest.
We're going to change it.
Well, no, it's, even before, they're not a temporary guest, so we would have pulled that card.
Well, if they're temporary for a year,
No, we don't, well, at least because it's not defined in the CPM, we don't consider a year temporary. And that's, again, where we have some trouble enforcing this, because it's a little open-ended. We don't know exactly what temporary means.
But
In
okay.
our view, we're thinking, a couple of weeks, that's anything beyond that is not temporary.
But you see, if you take this away from the single owners, then we are no longer equal to a married person.
Well, and
Who is getting two cards for their,
technically, because the way that I look at it, you are receiving a second card.
yes.
And unfortunately, GVR, the way that we always deal with things is per household. The dues are per household, we don't count the number of people, so we're looking at it as a household.
But that's, but you
you're getting
can't be
this-
doing that,
You're
Chris,
getting the
because
guest card for free.
Correct.
You're getting 60 days of a guest card that we pay for that you get for free.
Right now, I'm getting
Right,
365
but we're
days.
saying with this, you're getting 60 days, right?
Right now, I'm getting 365 days.
I know you are. I'm
And that's where
saying-
the
And
abuse
that's what
comes
I
in.
would like it to remain.
I know, and I'm saying this is what the change means, is that that card that you get now, and if we make this change, is good for your guest that you got for free.
Yes.
That we paid whatever for, is good for 60 days of a guest during the year, right?
Yes, it is free.
Candy.
It is. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Candy. Hang on. What, after the board discusses the issue we're discussing, and before we vote on the motion, then people in the audience will be allowed to speak, okay? But right now, the board members have the floor. Candy?
I just have this feeling that this is something that we need to take the time to discuss a little bit before we bring it back to the board.
I second.
I guess I've made a motion to do that.
Scott?
I
There's
agree.
just
I
too
feel
much.
like this is being work sessioned and committeed again, and therefore should probably go back to the Board Affairs Committee for hashing this out in room 2 for a while before it comes back to the board. That would be my recommendation.
Okay,
And in the meantime, leave it as it is, which is open-ended.
correct. And what I am going to have to do as a single person on this board, and the only single person on this board, I want to make sure that everybody understands that there are approximately 4,000 single people who are property owners. Given the figures that Chris gave us back in August, there were 668 people who lived with a partner. So that total is 1,336 single people, even though those 668 are living together. There also were 2,631 people who were single household people who did not have somebody living with them. So we had 3,967, and I'm just rounding it to 4,000 because I think that's fair. 4,000 people of the 23,500 people we have as members is 17% of the total membership. You need to pay attention to that many members and not cut them out from what they have already had. I don't have a problem with taking this back to the work session, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my singles club, which had 77 people at it the other day, and I'm going to say, if you guys want to be heard, you need to come to this meeting. And that's what we're going to have to do. Because we cannot just give this to a committee that doesn't have any single people on it, or only has one and is outvoted. That's not fair to the representation. Steve?
For the purpose of this, and it wouldn't matter if I was married or single, I happen to be the only name on the deed for the property. Doesn't,
When you added him to get a membership, he did it based on the fact that he's living in the house and gets his mail there?
basically, yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But he's
second
also
Nellie
on the
because-
utilities.
So, but you're still single.
Steve had his hand up, and then Nellie.
All right, thank you. First of all, I think we've gotten off track here. Basically, what we're trying to do is align the new policy for the annual guest pass for 60 days, and we're trying to change the complimentary guest ID to parallel that so that we can enforce the guest policy. I don't think we're wanting to recreate all these rules and figure out if what's been done in the past was correct. I mean, if that's what our goal is here, then I'm not seeing this on the agenda. All right, what I'm seeing is that we are trying to align the complimentary guest ID with our annual guest policy that was passed. All right? And I think we should go ahead and go forward with that.
Nellie?
Well, I'm confused, just what motion is on the table for a vote at this time. I don't believe it was a formal motion to postpone it. It was an idea. So therefore, the motion on Director or Chair Batchelor should be voted on unless someone makes a motion to postpone it and move it to the BAC committee. It wasn't, she didn't move a motion.
It was an implied motion, apparently. So I shall make a formal motion. Okay. I would like to make the formal motion that we discuss this guest complimentary, all these things, okay? Because I'm confused too. The complimentary guest pass policy during a work session and table the discussion now.
I second.
I did.
Dave, before we do that, then we will ask if there's anybody in the audience that wants to be heard on this agenda item. Jeff?
Thank you, Jeff Washburn. I don't have my number, it's over there somewhere. I have a lot I want to say on this, but I'm going to keep this really short. This is an equity issue, and it's clear to me that this whole policy needs to be referred back to whoever the committee is that's working on this, and they need to have the right representation, including single people, to come up with an equitable policy. This is not an abuse enforcement policy. Abuse is going to happen no matter what, right?
Yes.
We're talking about an equitable policy here. And it's clear to me that, I mean, I haven't studied this issue, but you've really got my interest now. I'd be happy to volunteer to sit on and provide input for any of this committee's work, but it's clear to me that I'm going to be brave here. You guys don't seem to understand your own policy, and that's the bottom line for me. And until you do, and the implications of that policy, it's about equity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this item? Okay, the motion on the floor at this point is to cancel, I'm sorry, what was the right word for that? To postpone this discussion and to send it back to the BAC. Scott?
Follow-up question, which is, the motion says it's a work session. Several people, including myself and you, have said it goes back to the Board Affairs Committee. I think we need to clarify what the motion says, and if work session is the intent, then let's reaffirm that that is the case, that it is the board that will work session this at some point instead of the Board Affairs Committee.
I'm going with work session, but I mean, I agree. I would like to have people there that know what they're talking about. Like single people, Chris, Scott, everybody who we need to answer these questions. And I think taking it back to the Board Affairs Committee, we don't have enough people there right now that can help us make a good decision.
I think either way, whether it goes back to BAC or it goes back to a work session of the board, there needs to be communication to the members that we're going to be discussing things that pertain to single people, single card holders that currently have a guest card that they can use 365 days, as opposed to taking some other action and limiting it to 30 days or 60 days. I don't care how many it is. To me, it's the principle of the matter. Because I worked with that group that made that change that was effective in 2020. So, and in fact, that was the primary reason I got involved in GVR, was that we had a bunch of people that said, well, wait a minute, I'm paying the same price and getting one card, where married people are paying the same price and get two cards, and that's not equitable. What was that?
I have my suggestion, we're recording apparently.
Okay.
My suggestion is that the Board Affairs Committee could certainly invite single representatives to sit at the table and participate in that discussion. And I think that would be my recommendation, is that that's the direction you go. Doesn't like it.
No, can I?
Add one thing. I mean, the problem that has been all along with the policy, the guest pass policy, single or the way before, is there was no limits, and therefore, there was no way that GVR could enforce anything. When somebody used it for 300 and, 700 days, which has happened, there was no way to enforce it. And I think that's what this is trying to do, is for GVR to be able to say, this is the end of the use of this, and there were statistics about how many people have overused this. Now, maybe that shouldn't outweigh the equity of single people, but I think those two things need to be balanced somewhat, some degree.
Typically, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, typically on a work session, for a board work session, people who show up at that meeting do not get to be heard until the board is finished discussing it. Typically, at a committee meeting, it is pretty much handled the same way. The committee members discuss it first, and if there are people in the audience, they get to speak to it. So at what point do we get to include the single people that want to be a part of that committee, that want to be able to discuss this issue?
The Board of Affairs could create a subcommittee. Other committees have done that. There's a history of that. There's precedence for that. So you could invite some singles to participate in that subcommittee.
Yeah, but the subcommittee then is usually less number of people than is either on the board or on the committee itself.
Either way, I don't think there's anything that says that you can't invite singles to participate in that discussion at a committee meeting or at a work session. I mean, they're your meetings, so they're your rules. If you want some singles there to represent the interests of the single membership, then you can invite them to sit at the table and participate in the discussion and help develop solutions, which I think would be very helpful. You can do that in a work session too. That means you're all participating and it's not the Board Affairs Committee.
Turn the microphone on, Marge. So Candy's suggesting we go to a work session with this issue, go back to a work session, so the board can attend and understand it before we have to come in here and vote and look like idiots because we don't know. And at that time, Candy can invite some of our single guests to come in and talk to us so we can hear all the sides of the issue. But I think we need to talk about the whole issue, not just a part of it. Is that right, Kenny? I mean, is that what you're thinking? And if Scott says we can bring people into the work session.
Yeah,
is that okay?
that's what I'm thinking is the work session. I think we can discuss a little bit more, but it is imperative that we hear what the single people have to say, because I feel like that the Board Affairs Committee, I think and again, I'll take responsibility for this, I feel like we just messed up big time on the guest policy, the annual guest policy. And I think we still need to define what temporary means. But in order to address this issue, I think it's important that we hear from who it affects the most, which is the members and those single households.
I would like to make a comment that if we are going to send it back to a work session, that it be done next month. We are at the end of a year, and snowbirds, many of whom are single, are going to be leaving, and they're not going to get to participate. So if we're going to do it, we need to do it now. Scott?
I object. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think that is fine. I'm just thinking, looking at my calendar here, maybe well, heck. We can do it pretty quickly. I don't know why we couldn't. You have a meeting already on the 18th. The 11th is a possibility. The 4th is a possibility. You have an election forum at 5 on the 4th. Why don't we do a Google or
Zoom.
I can't think of the name, but it's a survey of you to find out what dates work for you.
SurveyMonkey.
And then we'll figure out maybe a date that would work for everyone. But sure, we have a couple members in the audience that I think would probably volunteer to participate in that workshop, and we might want to get their phone numbers and contact them, and then work with everyone on scheduling a work session. Does that sound okay?
It sounds fine to me, too. I'm just concerned that snowbirds are going to be leaving and they're not going to have the input if we don't do it this month. Yeah. Okay. So Scott will send out a SurveyMonkey, is that what you call it, to the board
Yes.
to see what is the best day in March to use it for a work session for this issue to come up again and be discussed. And I am happy to take it to the Singles Club. We meet every Monday, so we can get a group of people to come, to be able to come and give their input.
Madam Chair, can we vote on the motion and?
Yeah, we need to do that, but I want to make sure that it's a board workshop and not a BAC workshop. Is that what your motion was, Candy? Yes, ma'am. Okay, and Dave seconded that? Yes.
Could the committee work with, could they go to your Monday meeting and talk to the singles there? I mean, if you have 70 members there, would it be better if they get their input? I mean, it's just an idea, and then bring it back to us through a regular work session on, that.
I don't have an issue with that, but Scott?
He's going to say no, I can tell by the look.
No,
on
I
his
mean,
face.
we can do that. We can help facilitate that discussion. My reservation is it going to be productive with 75 people?
It might not be for that many people.
That's my
true.
concern.
That's true.
And so
I
I'm
withdraw my
hoping again that
question.
we can come up with solutions to a real problem that, so I think it would be better, honestly, to invite some representatives to come and participate at a workshop, a work session of the board.
But even if we have a work session, Scott, that is open to the general
It is.
membership. So more than those people you want, that you invite, still have the right to come to that meeting and be heard,
The
even if
meetings
they're
are
not
open.
the individuals who were invited. As long as everybody understands that anybody can come to that meeting. Okay.
You need to vote.
So we should go ahead and vote on the fact that we'll have a work session in March, and then Scott will send around a
Doodle poll.
doodle poll to the board members to see what is the best day to have that work session. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 8, I see 8 hands, and all those opposed? 1, well, it has to be more than 1. Okay. Eight, 9, so that accounts for 10 people. We have 11 people here. Oh, Jody's gone. I'm sorry. We have 10 people here, so 8, 9, 10. Okay, we have 10 then. We have 8 yeses, 1 no, which would be Steve Reynolds, and 1 abstain, which would be Beth Dingman. So we will arrange for a work session to continue this discussion on this agenda item. And thank you for all of those that came to hear what was going on for that particular agenda item. We're going to move on to item C, which would be to approve the CPM changes to 2.3.2.C.7 and 2.3.3.C of the CPM. And this has to do with basically housekeeping, if you will, on conduct for board meetings under item C. It is to delete the wording that says minutes on any GVR-related issue prior to the consent agenda, and this was for members to speak to the board prior to the consent agenda. We no longer do that, so the housekeeping portion of this is to delete that out of the CPM. And then the second item was the scheduling and preparation, had to do with let's see. Items for deleting and adding to the agenda at the board meeting, and for this one is for the item to be placed on the next, I'm sorry, let me read it. Items for agenda consideration must be submitted to the president and CEO or their respective designee by noon 6 business days prior to the date of the board meeting. If the deadline for item consideration is not met, the item will be placed on the next regular meeting agenda. If during the approval section of the agenda, a majority of directors support removal, and this is a change, or addition of any item, it will be changed, period. So that would be the change. It's just to add an addition instead of just removal, so that you have a choice of either adding or removing, and making the item as changed instead of the prior wording of removal. Do we have any?
I move we accept it as written.
Okay, Beth.
Second.
Beth made the motion and Lanny Smith seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand. I see a hand. Is that? Okay, so that's unanimous. Thank you very much. The last item is the.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
President, sorry. We did want to vote on those separately.
Oh, you did?
Are we fine covering it?
Why?
Because you told me that.
Oh. Whoops.
Well, we just combined them.
I think they just combined them.
We did. We
Okay,
just
so you're
combined
fine
them.
with that? I just
And-
want to make sure.
And it was a unanimous vote,
Okay,
Nancy.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, the next item is the direction on the Del Sol Clubhouse Cafe, and Scott's going to take us through that.
I'm going to try. The board did meet on February 18th to discuss and debate the pros and cons of GVR providing food and beverage services at the clubhouse, rather than soliciting a vendor or installing vending machines. Most board members at the time did seem to be supportive of that direction, but there was a request for some additional data and maybe a more professional business plan or pro forma. We were able to synthesize the work that had been presented to you at that work session into a 2-page document, which is in your packet and available on the packet online. There's a couple things I would like to walk you through here. I've invited Steve Kindred, our recreation director, who authored this with a lot of assistance, but did a fantastic job. So I wanted to start off by talking about what Phase 1 is. Phase 1 is very simple. We're talking about espresso drinks, coffee, smoothies, some pastries, maybe a simple breakfast sandwich or a burrito. The number of FTEs is about 0.75, so we're anticipating about 2 part-time staff members. And I wanted to clarify, we do have some staff on hand that are currently with us that may qualify for that position, and if they do, we would have to backfill those positions. So this first phase is anticipating a 0.75 increase to FTEs. By the time we get up to May 1st, which is where we're tentatively planning to go into Phase 2, and again, we'll see how that goes. You know, if we're not ready to go to Phase 2 May 1st, we won't. But if we are, we will. What we're anticipating at that point is to ramp up to 2.2 FTEs. Did I get that right, Steve? Okay, good. So this would expand the hours a little bit more and provide more options, especially for lunch. This would really expand from just the breakfast time into the lunch. So we're looking at soup, salads, sandwiches, maybe some desserts, ice cream, that type of thing. We would need a full-time kind of supervisor/manager position for the cafe. And then really we would anticipate continuing that phase at least until the end of the year, maybe even through the next busy season. I think it depends on our comfort level and the interest. I mean, if the interest is there to expand from the membership to do maybe some evening activities, we can certainly do that. It would also include, Phase 3 could also include obtaining a private club liquor license, which is very similar to the Elks or the Legion, where members could buy some lunch and then also have a glass of wine if they'd like. We've started a similar venture here at the West Center Auditorium, where we are providing beer and wine and some mixed drinks out at our makeshift bar out in the lobby, and it's been very popular, honestly. We're doing quite well, and I think people appreciate it. So that's essentially it. I mean, we realize this is a big change for GVR. We haven't done food and beverage. That's why we want to start off really light and small with a 0.75, and then increase very gradually from there and see how it goes. And we're here to answer any questions.
Can I make a motion?
Sure, start the discussion, yeah.
I move to direct staff to pursue creating an in-house GVR-operated cafe at the Del Sol Clubhouse, and look to also pursue Phase 3 during the 2027 budget process.
I'll second.
Marge, that was you, wasn't it, Marge? Okay, so Marge seconded. So we're open for discussion now at this point. Beth?
Two questions. First, on page 24, where you have staff 6 hours at 1550, is that 3 hours each for two people, or is that two people for 6 hours?
That's Phase 1. On that chart, I believe it's 1. Is that right? You're looking
Yeah,
at
for
the
full 6
staff
hours, yeah, but-
16 hours.
Right, it's Phase 1, right, I get that, okay. So that's
The little green box.
3 hours each for two people, is that what you're saying?
I think that's,
That's how it reads, yes.
It could,
I think
you know
you're-
what? Let's go ahead.
I'll ask Steve.
It could be that, it could be one person working 6 hours, 3 days a week, and another working 6 hours, 2 days a week.
So there would be only one person?
One person there for
Okay,
6 hours a day.
Okay, just a question. And the other question I have is, when this was being looked at last year, or before you went to the vendor, and that was the recommendation at the time, to go with the vendor, is there, besides the issue of, has anything else changed except the feeling that we didn't work out as well and that we think GVR can do a better job? Or has anything else changed in your reasoning about putting in a staff to run this?
You know, we said this a little bit at the work session, but the fact is, if you own it, you control it. You can make sure that we're complying with health code laws, with fire marshal laws. We control the prices. We control what we sell. When we have a vendor, we don't control that. We really give that over. It's their business. So after the experience that we had, I think we learned a great deal, and honestly think it is probably less risky to some degree to go down the route that we're recommending.
Nellie?
Thank you. This issue goes back actually 2 years when a subcommittee was formed. In September of 2023, they released their subcommittee report, and the recommendations at that time was to go forward with from the subcommittee to the FAC with a GVR-operated cafe, limited to more of an operation as a phase-in from 7 to 3. We also did a member survey, which basically endorsed the approach. The board went in a different direction at the time to try a vendor, and we do now have that experience of that not working out. And so as we look at going forward, I think the subcommittee's report supports it. I think the experience we had with the vendor lends us and gave us some additional information. And I guess I think that the pro forma business plan that we have in front of us needs additional, perhaps, work as we phase into it, but there are uncertainties in any type of business that is launched. So launching phase 1 and 2 gives us what the members wanted, what the subcommittee proposed to the FAC a couple of years ago. I believe we would then be able to explore the opportunities to expand beyond that. I would like staff to address the question of the licensure of the Department of Health, because that is something that is new for us. So if they could just kind of respond where we're at with that. But I think from my perspective, this is worth a chance to address the members' needs. It also enhances, because we are able to really promote special events, and I'd like staff to address that, because that's really, the Performa business plan really says that we need to wrap up the special events activities that are planned there in coordination with the cafe. And if that happens, then this venture can be a positive for the members as well as for GVR. Thank you.
Steve, did you want to take those questions, or you want me to do it? Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So in terms of permitting, we've had a conversation with the Department of Health at this point. They're very familiar with the facility. We've described at a really high level over the phone what our intent is, what we're looking to do. They said that seems very doable for that space. We have to fill out the application now and get a little bit more descriptive on what we plan to do, what we plan to serve, hours of operation, that type of thing. The permitting process, I don't expect to be very difficult or challenging at that point. It seems like that's going to be a fairly simple lift for us. And in terms of scheduling events, I think that was another argument to point to Beth's question about why it made sense to bring it back in-house, because it is a much more seamless choreography of providing food and beverage and events at the Del Sol Clubhouse. We've already tried to ramp up and plan on ramping up our events and activities at the clubhouse. And I think when we compare that with, compare, but pair that with food and beverage, I think we're going to have a much more likely recipe for success than having a vendor try to work with us on those types of things.
Just one other follow-up question on the licensure. I don't know if it's a license or a permit. I think a greater understanding of the requirements for the liquor license, it's not something that I deal with, but as we go into moving it forward, understanding the differences and the pros and the cons of the type of liquor license would be something that would be worthwhile, but not necessary. I think we can move forward with the recommendation here, but that education process would be helpful.
Candy?
I have a question for Steve. Are you and your staff ready to take this on?
Absolutely.
Okay. If you're ready to take this on, and Nellie, I appreciate your attention to detail, good Lord. But I think there comes a time where if the staff is ready and they have this business plan, that we as a board just need to let them do their thing. I don't think it's up to us to decide about the license or what they're going to serve or this kind of thing. That's my opinion. Let the staff do their thing. We don't need to get into operations and get into all this nitty-gritty kind of stuff.
Bart?
Thanks. Just very briefly, I'm going to start off by anticipating the first wave of complaints you're going to get, and that is charging $5 for water. I assume this is probably a half-liter bottle of water that's going to cost us maybe 15 or 20 cents, while all of these other beverages, which require a lot more labor, are either the same price or less. But then I'm going to move on to the fact that GVR is a 501c4. It's a nonprofit. We don't have any experience whatsoever in running businesses for profit. The assumption that this cafe is going to be profitable for GVR, by that I mean that its receipts are going to exceed its expenses, strikes me as very optimistic. I would say almost fancifully optimistic. And as little as a year ago, that was the prevailing view on the board, and I think even with Scott, at least my recollection of Scott's remarks, were we're all agreed that we don't want to get into this trying to run a business for profit. But I'm just one board member and one vote. But I do wonder what effect this will have on our insurance bill. Restaurants, most restaurants that open, unless they're well-established franchise operations, close within a year. So, and much of the time, it's expenses that weren't anticipated. One of them is insurance. How much extra on our insurance bill will running a restaurant cost GVR? And that's it from me. Thanks.
Thank you. Lanny?
I support what Candy is saying, is that I think staff have presented us with a good business plan. They have discussed phase 3 only in terms of if it feels right, if it looks right, and the options make good sense. I think to Bart's point, I would believe, Bart, at that point in time, staff would be looking at all of those issues to ensure that it does make sense. The other thing, the last point I'd like to make is, this clearly aligns with GVR's mission statement. And I think we as a board, are the promoters, if you like, or the stewards of the mission statement. And I believe that staff have brought us a proposal that clearly aligns itself with our mission statement, and I fully support us going forward and finding out what the heck's going to happen.
Thank you. Jody, you've been waving your hand. It's not that I'm not seeing you. I'm glad you could join us. Go ahead. But you're muted. You need to unmute.
She's saying go ahead.
I can't read the hand signals.
I think she's saying go ahead. Maybe to Bev Lawless while she works on her.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Bev?
I'm going to repeat what I said a year ago. I don't think the purpose of the Del Sol Cafe is to make money. Yeah, it was never intended to make money. If we make money, great. But if we break even, or even maybe a small loss, I think that's okay. The purpose of the Del Sol Cafe is to bring another benefit to the members. By adding food and beverage, by pairing it with entertainment, that's what we are doing. I don't know if there are any clubs in GVR that make money for GVR. They all have expenses for facilities or utilities or fences or whatever. They all charge dues for their club, but are any of them really are they money makers for GVR? I don't think so. They're there because, and the pools certainly aren't money makers. They are there to provide benefits to the members, and that's what the Del Sol Cafe is. And I think we should move forward with this attempt. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least we tried. And I think it's important to let the staff do what they know how to do. There are several, including Scott, that know how to run a cafe or a coffee shop or whatever. And as the staff is planning to move forward slowly and not jump into things until they're ready. And I think we need to give them a chance. Thank you.
Okay. Steve?
I think this plan gives us the opportunity to succeed. It's a phased-in approach. It gives our members affordable prices, which I don't think we had in the past. One thing I would like to see is a financial statement for the clubhouse. I think it's very important that we track our progress before we move on to additional phases. And that way we can be sure that we're working on developing a a successful program at the clubhouse. Thanks.
Nellie, go ahead.
My understanding from staff, and they can clarify, that this would be tracked as a separate business line, so we would be able to track the progress. Can you confirm that?
Confirm. Yes.
I'm sorry, Bev, go ahead.
One more quick thing. As described in an email that the entire board received this week, for everybody sitting here who didn't get that email, water is not going to be $5, it's going to be $2.
I was thinking the same thing, Bev, but I do have a question for Scott, and I just kind of whispered at him a few minutes ago. When we started doing this 2 years ago, we asked our attorney with regards to non-members being able to use this facility. And I believe our attorney suggested that we should charge for non-members to come in. And we've gotten an email from Scott kind of speaking to that. So my question would be, because there are 3 different phases here, I hate for us to say, okay, let's open it up to the public, whether we charge or not charge, it doesn't make any difference to me, because I am in support of this program. But to me, if we're going to be changing the rules back and forth in the CPM as to this specific facility allowing non-members to come in, or changing it back because we're getting a liquor license that's going to take care of a private club, I just would like to know, should we really be bouncing back and forth, or should we just say it's for members only?
You know, at this point, I think it would be better to open up to the public, just the cafe side, because we are interested in trying to break even. And if we have people outside that aren't members that want to buy a cup of coffee or a pastry, I think we should take advantage of that. I know for certain that there are certain businesses in the area that have staff that don't live in the area, but they were patronizing the cafe before. I think there were some first responders, the fire department, others that were regularly participating in buying, food and beverage items from the cafe as well. So I feel like we'd be leaving money on the table, frankly, if we didn't open it to the public at this point. The attorney originally recommended that a nominal fee be charged to non-members because the 2 governing documents, the bylaws and the corporate policy manual, talk pretty extensively about how there's an additional charge in various places throughout those documents for non-members. So, after speaking with him, I think he took a more conservative view and said, this is more consistent with what your documents say. In my recent conversation with him last week about this, I said, we found that it was a bit cumbersome. It was a little off-putting to those non-members, and I can understand why you're going to charge me from you. I'm giving you my business. And so he looked at it again, particularly at the CPM. You've got it right there. What is it? 6.13. And really adding another, can I see that real quick? Thanks. And adding another line to that. This would become E, but this says GVR activities are open to the general public. And then we would add a subsection E that says the cafe section of the clubhouse would allow non-members to make purchases without being subject to a fee or a surcharge. We could certainly still charge the 25 cents if that's really what the board wants, but our experience was it was a little cumbersome and a little off-putting to charge people for wanting to buy their coffee. So we would recommend that we amend the CPM to include that language. You could do it at this meeting. Frankly, we could also bring it to your next regular meeting in March, which is probably better, because then you'll have time to digest that more if you'd like.
Okay, I'm happy with that response. I'm sorry, who? Okay, let's take Jody if she can speak. Go ahead, Jody.
Can you hear me?
There you go, now we can hear you.
Yay, it only took me 3 tries to get there, but I got it. Okay, so 1, I agree with this plan. 2, I agree with Candy and Lanny. get out of the weeds. It's operations. And Scott, you had a rule. If it takes longer than 5 minutes to provide the document or paperwork, you need to ask the board. I think we're asking way too much with the information that's been provided. Let's move on this. We're going to hold this back and miss out on a good opportunity by asking too many questions. We have the assets in place. What's it going to cost? A little bit of food and some use of some resources. Let's do a 90-day test drive and see what we can get done. I asked Scott, and this again is in operations, just my opinion, let's grow slowly. Let's go with the basics. Let's not expand into elaborate stuff until we get a great footing. Additionally, I would like to see, because we get a lot of people volunteering, that we utilize the folks that want to volunteer for free and have food service certificates. We need to tap into that. Anything, and we're not here to make a ton of money, but if we can be on the plus side of this, let's be on the plus side of this. Let's look at this as positive because our membership have spoken. And let's stay out of Scott's business and let him run with it. We are dragging this ship down. Thank you.
Thanks, Jody. Okay, Bart?
Thanks. I've heard a couple of my fellow board members say, well, let's let staff do what they know how to do. You know, GVR staff are not in the restaurant business. I'm pretty sure that in the interview process that resulted in them being hired, they weren't asked what they knew about the restaurant business. You know, what Scott knows about the restaurant business, Scott, I think I'm correct, was many, many moons ago, back in horse and buggy days. Because that's certainly, the restaurant business has not been the career that put you here. You know, that I've heard also, well, this is operations. So, you know, the board ought to back out of this. This is operations. The operations of GVR, a 501c4, are essentially member service operations. They are not restaurant operating operations. So, you know, I feel free to stick my nose in wherever I want on the issue of should we run a restaurant. So, there you go. That's it from me.
Thank you. Nellie?
Well, I want to go back to Scott's point on the open to the public. Actually, the Del Sol under the vendor was open to the public as a non-member. And so that was an important concept under the business plan that the subcommittee looked at a couple of years ago. And it was implemented. And I also agree that if we were to take it over, it is kind of a nuisance charge. So if we are going to look at this, we may want to postpone that part of the discussion until next month about whether we want to charge 25 cents or not charging 25 cents. But I just want to point out that it had been a public cafe, and it was, and I was one of the people who went there probably twice a week. It was well accepted by the businesses there in the area, the fire department, the local business, hairdressers utilized the cafe. So it was a community resource to them as well. That's not the intent of the cafe, but it served both purposes.
Bev?
I'm going to state my opinion against volunteers for this, at least in the cafe, as far as the kitchen, food prep area, et cetera. Cappuccino machines, espresso machines, some of the other machines are very complicated to not so much operate, but to take care of them, clean them, et cetera. And volunteer, you would have different volunteers on different days. Sometimes you're not going to show up for whatever reason, whether it's family, medical, gee, I just forgot. Even at the Glass Club, where I am a member, we have volunteers for different monitoring positions, et cetera. We have people that only certain people are trained, say, to run the cash machine and the point of sale, which would be an issue. And you can't have random people coming in, oh, Thursday's my day, I'm going to come in and, you know, make espressos for everybody. you would not get consistent service and people would get very dissatisfied. And we've already had trouble with the machines not being well taken care of by people who were supposedly trained. We don't want to risk that again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Jody?
Okay, yeah, Bev, I can agree with you to a certain extent. But if we could have somebody just at the counter picking out a pastry, a donut, heating up a sandwich, but not working on the cappuccino, I just think that that's pretty basic information, basic food service. Additionally, Bart, this is not a full-fledged restaurant. This is just a cafe where we're going to reheat some sandwiches. We're not cooking food from scratch. We're picking out donuts and pastries that we already been previously prepared and handing it off to the customer. I think the biggest concern would be the cappuccino machine. I totally get that. That's an expensive piece of equipment, but I don't think this is rocket science. It's basic customer service of providing a small, basic food. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on because I have to agree. Poor Scott and his staff get to do their jobs. We should let them do their jobs. We should not get involved in this, and we've already had some discussions on that. So let's just move on. Does any other board member have a comment? Because otherwise I'm going to open it up to audience that might have a comment. Okay, if there's anybody in the audience that would like to weigh in on this, please come up to the microphone, and you can stand one behind the other. Give us your name and your GVR number, and you have 2 minutes to give us your comments.
Mari Nelson, 103-982. I just have a comment or a thought I just want to throw out to you. Consider a food truck. During the time that you do your research, you present a comprehensive plan to the members, and then you can understand all the components that you've been discussing. But also you have the advantage of the summertime. So consider a food truck or multiple food trucks, open it up different days, different food trucks, to see what kind of attendance that you get, and you can monitor that. That is my comment as far as food and beverage before you want to get into that. But more importantly, I want to address the upcoming fourth First Responders Fair and Public Safety Fair. It will be held out at the, here, I'll just give it to you.
Please say that in the microphone, please, Mari. Thank you.
It will be held out at the historic Canoa Ranch on March 14th. It's open to everyone, and on the backside even has a promotion for the kids. So I hope you will all come out and attend the First Responders and Safety Fair for an opportunity to thank all of our first responders. And it's fire, it's police, it's all of the men and women that do the job to protect our community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mari. Would anybody else like to come up?
My name is Les Torgerson. I live in Canoa Estates. I don't remember my number.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to speak right into the microphone because
Okay, how is
if you
this?
speak at the side or the top, we're not going to be able to
Can you
hear
hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Name is Les Torgerson. I live in Canoa Estates. I forgot my card. I don't know my number. I can give you an address, but
Address would be great. Thank you.
3443 South Placita del Disfrute.
Thank you.
And I did use the Club del Sol a few times this year, and particularly found it interesting and nice to be able to watch the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. I think that could be a big thing for the group, but that's also something that you might, places to watch the football games on Sunday. They're not available on local channels unless you're from Phoenix or, and it would be nice if that was available. It was available this year, but there are only 2 televisions in there, and they're very big. They could be smaller and a lot more of them for different games that are going on at the same time. And I think if you're going to have a restaurant, another thing I would recommend is that you use the facility and where the pool table is and set that up too, because it was crowded up there sometimes. And the idea that it might be crowded discourages people from coming. I also would say I would recommend keep it simple. Don't try to make it too complicated. It's a beautiful location, and it's, I think people who hike really enjoy stopping there. I hope that it's successful, so that's all I want to say. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Les. You don't need to raise your hand, you just need to walk up to the microphone and
Hello, I'm Connie Johnson, Madam Chairperson, Board, and staff. I'm delighted that this project is being considered, and I'm glad that you tried it with the private sector, and you're projectizing it in a sense. But I would recommend just two things. You have 3 phases in here. After each phase, you take a short evaluation on two accounts. One account is, as you say, the overall purpose of GVR, of member services. Check it out. What happened? What are the pluses and minuses? What are the gaps? Before you move into the next phase, which is more complicated, requires more services. But the evaluation to contain 2 things. One, the response of the membership, participation, quality, that sort of thing. Recommendation for changes. And 2, evaluation of the business line. This is a business plan. We want it to break even. It doesn't have to make a profit, maybe a slight loss, but we want it to continue. That's profitability. I don't know what the business plan contained in terms of cash flow, assumptions on participation, income, but I would hope that would be a baseline, but at least evaluate it at each phase before you turn the key to the next one. But I congratulate you on bringing it back. Thanks.
thank you, Connie. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this item on the agenda? Okay. We have a motion on the floor and a second to move forward as it's been presented. So all those in favor, please raise your hand. 9. I'm seeing 9 yeses. All those opposed? 1, 2. And I'm seeing 2 opposed, and that would be Bart Hillier and Dave Barker, Nancy. So the motion passes, and Scott, congratulations. We're looking forward to this.
Great, we are too.
Okay, so at this point, are there any members that would like to make comments as before we adjourn the meeting?
Hi, I'm Dale Howard, 266061, and I'm one of the 5 candidates for the Board of Directors. And I'm very disappointed. I found out in an email from Nancy the other day that our first forum is at Canoa Hills and will not be recorded. So I'm very disappointed that the election will have actually started before the majority of the people, other than the initial interview from Regina and the fine questions that the newspaper asked us, that first session won't be available to those who don't attend the forum that night. And I think it's a disrespect to all 5 of the candidates that we don't get an opportunity for more exposure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Anybody else would like to make a comment?
Hi, my name is Tom Wallace, member 271353. Just a quick statement regarding the passes, where I believe that it is, in my opinion, that a homeowner, whether it's a single person or a married couple, that you pay one fee, you should all get the same benefits that fee, that comes with that fee. Outside of that, anybody else that are a guest are subject to whatever policy you put up for money and duration. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Tom. Anybody else have a comment? Like the rest of us, you're getting stiff.
I know, it's too long. Dan Hankey, 256396, to continue what he just said about paying our fees, the $540. We should get 2 passes per person. I have rentals, I should get 2 more, not to throw a wrench in it, but if we pay the same, we should all get the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. Okay, if there's nobody coming forward, just a reminder that the people who are running for the board will be out in the lobby if anybody cares to talk to them individually or as a group. And other than that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you,
Second.
Lanny. Who did the second?
Bev?
Beth? Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Everybody in favor, raise your hand. Looks unanimous. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We'll see you next time.